So let's get started. So welcome all for today's PTC Talks, where we are excited by having Anders Björk at Nucor for a session on how to leverage PLM for circular transformation and sustainability. But first, a very quick overview and introduction about myself with me. So my name is Torbjörn Pitson, and I'm the Alliance Manager for PTC in the Nordics, and we are running all these webinars on a Fridays every week, where we are inviting customers and partners for some inspiration on digital transformation to see what is possible and how to make things happen. And all the past webinars have also been recorded and are to be found on the registration site. The agenda for today is first a very quick overview of PTC by myself, and then Anders will run the show by introducing himself and touch base on a few challenges, how to address these, and then explain some of the business outcomes. And at the end, we are having a Q&A session, so please keep your questions to the end, or you may also put them in the chat and we will pick them up during the Q&A. So over to the next slide, Anders. So just a quick overview about PTC as a company. So PTC is a global software company with a headquarters in Boston, and we provide market-leading solutions on IoT, augmented reality, PLM, SLM, ALM, and CAD through the digital thread to help companies to accelerate their digital transformation. Now over to you, Anders.
Thank you, Torbjörn. So before I move forward with the presentation, I have a question for you in the audience here. How many of you have older phones that are more than 3 years old? I think even if you can't answer in the chat here now, I think a lot of you will have old phones, and some of you will have new phones, and there is a reason for that. Another question is, how many of you will have or maybe have old phones lying around at home in a drawer somewhere, or that you're actually not using but still fully functional? I think we all can say that something is lying around at home. So as mentioned, my name is Anders Björk, and I'm actually a mining engineer from the beginning. And I started working at one of the finest companies, if I can tell, in Sweden within the mining business for over 20 years ago, where I learned that to be able to innovate and develop new technologies, we need virgin resources from the ground. And as much as I loved being the production manager for Atlas Copco's rocket boomers, which is the company I mentioned here, I started thinking a little bit about the impact we do to the world when we dig up all these materials out of the ground. Because even if the phone that you were just thinking about earlier, maybe you have it in your hand or on your desk here, weighs in average 170 grams, it's actually generating around 80 kilos of waste upstream to manufacture. And only in 2022, we put around 5 billion of these into landfill, where actually 80% was fully functional, or a fraction of them was recycled. So another question I have: how is it with your products that you have in your business? Do you have 100% knowledge of where these products end, or when they end up, where they end up, or in their end of life? Because it is only around 7% of all products that are circular in the world. And in fact, you can just look around you where you sit today. I don't know where you sit in your home office or you sit in your office. Imagine all the resources that's gone into designing, manufacturing, shipping these products to where you sit today, and realize that all the waste upstream and all the waste downstream, when 93% of everything around you will go into landfill or incineration, or like burning up, more or less. I think we think at Nucor, it's mind-blowing when you start thinking about that. So imagine if we can make it a little bit more circular by sharing, reusing, remanufacturing, and recycling more. So what we are going to talk about today is how we can leverage PLM to make this happen on a high level, because we only have 20-30 minutes here. But before we do that, I think it's good to understand what is driving circularity today that will impact you. We have identified 4 main areas. I think I will start with legislation, followed by new customer demands, disruptive competitors, and resource scarcity. And I will go through all these 4 now a little bit more in detail. Of course, there are also benefits, and those we will come to a little bit later. Starting with legislation. If you don't know it, we have a European Green Deal coming up with a lot of new directives, where you as an OEM or where the type of company you are will need to take a wider product responsibility. One example is the new battery regulation being effective from 2023 as a pilot for the digital product passport. Because the goal for EU is to have no net emissions of greenhouse gases by 2050, economic growth that is decoupled from the resource use, everything we dig up of the ground I mentioned before, and that no persons or no place or company, etc., is left behind. So let's go into details around the digital product passport. I think that's an area that a lot of people are talking about at the moment, which is just one area here. There's a lot of things here in that you can read that may come into effect 2030 at latest. We don't know how this will look like, but we know that it will be enforced 2030 and the decision will be taken in 2026. But don't wait with implementation of this just because you don't need to be compliant yet. Because this is about your ownership of your product lifecycle information throughout the whole lifecycle. Because if you start now, you will not only be compliant to regulators and contribute to sustainability, and you will also build more efficient supply chains, enhance consumer product safety, and then I'm also trying to get my animation to work here. For some reason it stopped. I got it. And maybe the most important in the bottom here, you can build a new circular business model walking up the service ladder. Something that the car manufacturers already have started with, which is our second driver, new customer demands. I don't know if you know this, but you've probably seen some of these car sharing on-demand services popping up more and more. And one research that we've done is we're looking at a Volvo subscriptions model, where one of Volvo's cars, every subscription car that comes into use, is replacing around 8 to 9 cars in their old business model, and that is with equal profit as well. The third driver is your disruptive competitors, which will create new business models, of course, fulfill your customers' demands, and support the Green Deal. The question to you I have, do you have disruptive competitors? One example, connecting to phones again, is the Fairphone. If you haven't heard about that, I think that will be something that will grow a lot. And it's already started growing in sales due to its modularity, of course. You can replace components and upgrade it, and the 5-year warranty and the circular approach. And the fourth being resource scarcity. For example, one of our clients took back all the PCBs that was scrapped in the service centers during COVID and remanufactured them and put them into new products to be able to sell products, due to the shortage of PCB at this time, printed circuit boards. So finally, we get to the main question, how to leverage PLM then for circular transformation, and what are the benefits? So let's start with describing the connection between PLM and the environmental impact using our framework. In this example, we have an OEM with a dealer network. First, you have your business model or value chain, end to end. This is where you create your value in designing, sourcing, manufacturing, and shipping your product. With a certain maturity, you will have control of your as design boom, bill of material. May also have some control of your as built bill of material. Even if you need to find it manually in your ERP system, it is probably somewhere out there in your landscape. As a foundation, you have your product lifecycle information, which can be your product definition, your designs, drawings, manufacturing instructions, information, etc. Normally, these are stored in silos. And we claim that the way you design your business model and value chain and your product lifecycle management supporting this will have a direct impact on the environment. But as an OEM, if we stick to this example, you will normally not have control of your product individual lifecycle information. And for example, your as maintained bill of material, which means that you cannot control your use phase and the next life of your product. Hence, you will have no control of your product individual lifecycle impact. So the question is, how can you then move into circularity? What's the first steps here? The first step is to integrate your existing silos and build the digital threads to support the business model and value chain that you have today within your control. And next step is to move into the most important phase of your environmental impact. This is the use phase. So let's start by then imagining world-class product lifecycle management. I don't know, there are a lot of people in here with different experiences, but I would like you to take 1 minute, just reflection. If you would have full control of your use phase and the whole from end to end here, what would a first class and a world-class product lifecycle management solution look like in your world? So take 1 minute to reflect, and then we will continue the presentation. So I guess a lot of you thought about the digital thread or the information where digital twins were involved, maybe. I don't know, Torbjörn, what did you thought about? But I guess this was maybe in your head.
Oh yeah.
With PTCs, digital twin and physical products, how that interacts from everything from plan, design, produce, operate, monitor, service, and then inform back and going back and forward. What's the perfect world here that we're looking at? Because we know PTC and these type of suppliers. We know that the ultimate goal is to have full control of your traceability of your requirements, the designs, the manufacturing, service, use, and end of life from end to end. Imagine what you could do if you have this control. For example, going into more the circular transformation, you could simulate the environmental impact, but even before you start designing things. You could make consciousness design choices based on that. You could also select recycled materials because you know that from your design tools and you can pick them directly. Or use them when you manufacture and reuse components. Possibly also create a digital twin with full traceability. And also remanufacturing used products into new sellable products. and maintain products to extend its lifetime. I think that's something that a lot of people are looking at at the moment. Or building PaaS business models, product as a service business models. Or manage next life on your products. Or implement take-back programs, taking back components, taking back products. Because if you have full traceability, you would have control of these individuals and know exactly how this has been maintained, etc., which will make this possible. Remember, we talked about as maintainable before, for example. Because we mean that PLM is not in its most perfect form, is a system thinking approach with a cradle to cradle ability. Remember the loop that I showed, the PTC loop. At the same time, circularity need a system thinking approach and a cradle to cradle support. Because in this view, you could almost say that PLM is the parent of circularity, supporting it through the product lifecycle, enabling it with product lifecycle information. And I talked about benefits as well before. Of course, there are benefits to this as well. Because implementing circularity, it will give you cost efficiency, because you have control of your product lifecycle. Remember that? And the information that will reduce manual work throughout the product lifecycle. You will also get new revenue streams, because you add recurring revenue streams to your business. You'll improve your resilience, being able to respond much faster to new market conditions, having control of your product information. You can change your processes. You can change your way of working much faster than today. And in the end, you can increase your customer satisfaction because you will be closer to your end users. Remember the use phase now. We want to be in the use phase and be close to our end users. And understanding that circularity needs system thinking, you probably have understood by now that we need to go beyond our own PLM to succeed. Because lifecycle data for circular business models requires external collaboration. If you're an OEM, and even if you get full control of your product lifecycle data within your company, you still need to collaborate with other players in this circular ecosystem. And looking at the whole circular ecosystem, there is a product lifecycle data that you may normally not be used to deal with. In each of these loops here will require some specific data from other players than you said. And any company can probably manage this in a pilot, but it is when you want to scale into your full business where you will have challenges, because you need to share the data with external partners, and you need data to be shared with you, which is a huge challenge, especially if you see your data as a private asset. Because in the end, it's about tracing the products and materials, share data along the whole value chain, and connect platforms for dematerialization, meaning that you can reduce the use of resources through collaboration with partners. This is why product lifecycle data is a key enabler for circular business models. However, most companies are not able to provide these types of data today, and thus aren't able to scale it, any of these circular initiatives, regardless if it's a take-back program or it's a product as a service. But before you jump into the end game, where there's a few things that you can do already now. I mean, I guess you see it's a long journey. But what we see is that we recommend that you just start measuring your impact, and at the same time take control of your PLM. Seems like two big things, but you can start small. The second part is that you can start designing your business model if you want to add a new type of revenue stream at the same time. Of course, you can go circular without changing your business model. You can start taking back components, you can start recycling material, etc. But we believe that designing a new business model will drive a lot of changes within your company, which is more to the positive. and also reduce the complexity of your portfolio. We believe that a very complex portfolio is harder to manage when you want to go circular. And the third step is to both in parallel increase traceability, the digital thread we talked about before, and then start designing for circularity on existing products. Remember that, on existing products. I think we all know that you can design for cost, but you can also design for sustainability. And if you have a modularized approach from start, this is really good, because if PLM is the parent of circularity, modular design is the sibling of circularity. And working on enablers is not enough. You need to know if you are on the right track to circularity. And we have identified a number of KPIs which can indicate if you're on the right track. Here being just a few examples, leading up to reduction of your scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions as well, which is just a bonus in this work. So our question is, of course, what can be your next step? Is it integrating your PLM information with your sustainability reporting, which we do with some clients, or make a science-based maturity assessment on circularity, and join a bank of 1,200 plus assessments already done in this area? If you're interested in data for circularity, you can join a transition group at Nordic Circular Hotspot with other big industrial players coming on board. Or you can just contact us if you would like to know more about how you can reduce your environmental impact by working with circular business models and a new PLM way of working, as we can move your product lifecycle into circularity. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Anders, for sharing a lot of super duper interesting stuff here. So now over to you in the audience, for any questions you might have. So please, put your questions in the chat or raise your hand. We will take them as we go. But I think I had one first question here, and that relates a little bit. Who you think, based on your experience, should get involved, from an organizational point of view, into this kind of PLM products and on circularity? What are the roles and stakeholders that might be most relevant, for taking part of the products?
I think that's a very good question, because that's the first thing we normally do in our programs. We start with connecting 3 main roles, 3 to 4, I'd say, but we start with 3 if it's possible. And one is the head of R&D or similar person, head of services, and then head of sustainability. Those 3 is the first stepping stone for us to connect and sit in the same room. Because when you do that, you start to operationalize the sustainability agenda into the 2 of the most biggest impacts. Because as someone stated in another one of these PTC talks, 80% of the impact is decided when you design things. So you need to have the R&D person. And then if you look at scope 1, 2, and 3, the majority of the emissions will be when the products are in use. That's why head of services is so important and will be an enabler for managing that phase. And then, of course, this head of sustainability is the one that's actually having the direction and knows all the directives that's coming in, etc. So those 3 are the main. But then if you want to add a person, eventually I would add head of manufacturing as well. But that's a second step very often as you see it.
Thanks. And also I had someone here also asking a little bit about how do you see that artificial intelligence could actually be used to drive circularity in the manufacturing industry?
That's a tough question, because it has not been done yet. But coming back to that, it's very much about managing your data and managing information. We believe that a lot of enhancements, or improvements, and can be done through new tools. AI is just one of those tools.
Mm.
But the more data we have, if you just go back, I think the last 2 years we have created more data than in all mankind. And the AI models, they learn from data. So the more data we create, the better will these models be. So I definitely believe that AI will come more and more just due to that. But exactly what role it will play, it will help us become smarter. That's the simple answer, I would say.
Right, thanks. I also had another question here. That relates a little bit, to yourself actually. You having a background as an entrepreneur. So what is actually, driving you?
Yeah, it's a very good question. And in New, I would say, talk from Newcore point of view, being also the founder of Newcore, I think it's maybe equal to my beliefs and our team and our employees. What's our purpose? You can see the vision down here, shaping a circular and profitable future together. It's about doing this and then do it together. It requires co-creation. And if you look at while we get up from the bed in the mornings every day, there are two things I would say. One is that we want to spread this word, that we can actually enable this through real stuff, the PLM stuff, and increase the knowledge in the industry. That's one driver. The other driver is to actually do these tangible projects at the clients, where you can see that you make an impact at the client. And I do believe that 10 years from now, we will not see so much financial results in our CVs. It would rather be how we have impacted and improved the world and the environment in the CVs. So that's what's driving me.
Thank you, Anders. Very good answer, I think. And also, a little bit related, to what you actually said here. What's coming up and how would it, look like 10 years from now? What are the other sort of, big mega trends you could, see right now? In the manufacturing industry. 3 to 5 years from now, and how should we, start already now, sort of, to cope with them?
I think one mega trend has been going on for quite a while, which is the personalization, and people want to have localized products, etc., and be closer to the suppliers. And I think that is requiring digitalization to do that. So that's one trend, and I think we've seen that with consumer behavior, and that goes more and more into, and that just continues. It's an old mega trend, but I think it just continues. The other mega trend, I think it's when the EU and also you see from US coming more and more, indication, at least depending on the election next year, I think. But you see that when the legislating bodies are starting to speak up, you see directly a consumer behavior change, and that is directly going to reap across all companies in Europe and in the world. And I think that's where we, you say that the consumer behavior, they will not change. Yeah, but they will change when laws are in place. Then people start changing fast, and then it's a program like a PLM program. If you don't have a PLM, sufficient PLM environment today, and if you are a company of the size of, let's say, 10 to 100 billion SEK, which is complexity, a quite good complexity, it will take you 5 to 10 years before you have implemented a full PLM solution. So imagine then that the trends are going faster than that. I think that's something that you should think about.
Yeah, that's a good answer, I think. So we will get back to that. Have you used circular economy index in your analysis work? That's a question also from Vesa.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said, the last one.
Have you used circular economy index in your analysis work?
No, not yet. We are using a tool that's been developed by DTU in Denmark, but we are continuously evolving and improving our work.
Right. So time is unfortunately running out. So a big thanks, I mean, to everyone attending here, and of course, I mean, a special thanks to you, Anders, for a fantastic overview here. So with that, I hope to see you back already next week for the PTC talks about design for sustainability with the green PLM by Transition Technologies. So with that, have a fantastic weekend and see you back next week then. Take care. Bye bye.
Take care. Thank you. Bye bye.